Hey, welcome everyone to today's Level Up Together. Today is the February 28th, and today's topics, we're going to continue with the healing attitudes. Page number 129 for me on the Level 1 manual. And before we get started, I have the weekly disclosure that this meeting is being recorded and will be shared via YouTube on the Level 1 groups, tactics for people to catch up, replays, or rewatch, or whoever was not able to join. I'm a Level 1 practitioner. I'm here as your host because here it's like a roundtable thing. Everyone's experiences, insights, and whatever you share is helping everyone else grow and learn together. So with that said, let's get started. Last week we got up to on the healing attitudes up to like point number 11. So we can start on the number 12 if
Okay.
everyone found it. Yes.
I,
And whoever would like to read can
I
raise
put
your
yours
hand.
on the same page.
I got page 129. How about you, Stuart?
It's just
Yeah.
the this is my
So who
news.
would like to read?
I can read. How far do you want me to read?
We can just with these, we can just read one point at a time and then
Is it
do the
is it called
discussion, get on
healing
the next one.
attitudes?
Yeah.
Can I look it
Yeah.
up?
Oh,
Page
um,
128, I think, Stuart.
okay. Yeah. Point number 12.
Number 12. Okay. So everything we say and do is a representation of our view of the world. We do not operate directly from the world, but from our perception of it. Um, yeah. So I guess, well, that's what Robert talks about a lot, isn't it? About our perception. It's not actually from might be really happening. It's what we perceive. So, yeah, it's all down to how we view it, I suppose, which level we're looking at. So it depends on what we already hold inside, and then that will create our perception, won't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone else has any examples, insights, or anything that comes up?
What's the section called happy? Because my journal isn't the same.
Healing attitude.
Healing attitudes. Okay.
Yeah, healing attitudes. Did you find it, Stuart?
I'm trying.
Okay, it's right after well, let's see.
It could be page 131. I
Could
don't know.
be. Yes.
I don't know.
You can go back and forth. It should be right around
Yes.
there.
Yep. The
Okay,
map is
good.
not the itinerary. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
let's see. Okay. Would you like to read the next one, Stuart? Number 13?
12, number 13, number 12.
Yeah, number 13. Nigel just read the number 12.
Okay. Our inner rules are triggered by sounds, words, and images, which bring the past experiences and feelings to the present moment. All you have is right now.
Hmm. Anything you would like to share on that, Stuart?
Well, I find that many of my fears and angers are related to triggers. So, and the triggers come from past events. Um, and so you have to go back, really fix the past events, and then the fears and whatever are gone in the present moment. So by addressing the past, it changes your perception of the future. At least that's what I have.
Definitely.
Pardon?
Absolutely. Yeah. And those triggers are in the form of those sounds, words, and images that
And
bring
they're
it
all
alive.
they're in your past. A lot of them are in the past, and I find them all the way throughout my past.
Absolutely.
They're like
Definitely.
landmines.
Yeah. Landmines. I like that. Definitely. Does anyone else have any insight on that? Share your readings, the healing attitudes. number 13, around page 129 or 131 or something like that. Who would like to read number 14?
I can read that.
Sure.
What you believe to be true or not to be true powerfully shapes your perception of the external world.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's powerful, huh?
Yeah. It's interesting because right now I'm going through a lot of with the work that I'm doing for the anxiety and the panic attacks that I had. Um like a lot of it, like I'm going back and I'm like, I don't understand why like I panicked at that moment or like why I reacted in that particular way. So just having like a different point of view. But I do remember at that point in time, it seemed like the biggest thing ever, right? Like at that point in time, like I believed that, that this was like this horrible thing. So yeah, so it's interesting how that could shape your moment for sure. What you believe in that moment as opposed to what's really going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, it could be like a lifetime belief. It could be a momentary belief about somebody or whatever came up. It's all coming from our perceptions and the past belief based on our experience, but it shapes not just our perception of the other external world, but I also feel like it shapes very much the situation, and the outcome of a situation can change so much based on what we believe about ourselves or the other person. So it's really crazy. Anybody else would like to say anything? Hey, Susan, welcome. We are on page around 130 or 131, number
Don't-
14, healing
But don't your
attitudes.
past, but don't your past beliefs shape your future?
Yeah,
So, I mean, if, and I just want to get clear on this, okay, for me. So if you have anxiety or panic attacks now, does that relate to something in your past?
definitely.
Okay.
Hmm.
Did
And then
you, yeah. So did you have anything deeper you want to go into that, Stuart? Like, what was
everything is
that?
always working out for me. Well, I mean, I've had a lot of things happen to me in the past where I've had a lot of trauma, and I've been tapping on it to get rid of it. Um, but when you're tapping on, you got to be thorough. You got to go through it exactly as it was. You got to remember all the points, um, and it's got to be very detailed. Because unless you get rid of all the details, you'll never get rid of the event. So
Definitely.
I mean that's what I find to be true, and I think that Robert says it at some point that you have to really go through the details. I know that some practitioners, and I don't know why they do it, but they'll say, "Well, where do you feel it the most?" And I can certainly understand that to try and get it down the quickest, but I think that no matter where you feel it the most, I think you still have to go through the whole thing to get rid of the whole event. And you have to change, like Robert says, everybody in the event so that they're all smiling at the end.
Yes,
And it does take
definitely.
time.
It does take time sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, when you knock out the big part, then there's not much resistance to go to all the people, all the small little details. Yeah. And then, the brain will keep coming up and will keep showing you, because if there's a big one
Yes.
sitting, it won't show you the details.
Yes, it will.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, and it's like it's our lifetime of work. You just keep doing it, whatever it takes. You just keep going through
Well,
it.
some events, I mean, I've tapped as long as 2 hours and still not gotten rid of something. I mean,
Hmm.
some events it just takes more time. I mean, eventually you will get rid of it, but you have to be persistent if you're going to do
Yeah.
it by yourself.
Yeah, persistency is definitely the key. And then also sometimes the belief that it will take a long time, that also is a belief,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And
yes.
yes. Totally.
I better tap that one away.
Yeah. So what you believe to be true or not to be true powerfully shapes your perception of the external world. Yeah. So whatever we believe, because if we believe that we're all one and everything is here to help us grow and it's an opportunity to become a better version of ourselves, then there could be less resistance to letting it go.
So let me just ask you one more question. So let's say, okay, I'm driving on the road or I'm at my job. I don't happen to have my book with me that has Robert's all the questions, that he has
Art of change?
out of change. So what's the important thing for me to, I mean, I know that you want to go to the event and you want to think about the event and you want to think about the past. Okay, but you don't have all of those out of change questions. So what should you focus on? The past? I mean, is that what you should look for? Something that happened in the past?
Okay, so basically, if something happened and you want to check where it's coming from and you don't have the art of change questions, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's easy, like once you kind of go through the art of change questions, it's easy to remember them. If you have a notebook in front of you, you just have those 5, 6 categories, right? And there's an acronym, I remember them by, call it BRIMS: belief systems, resources, internal representation, metaphoric expression, you got payoffs, and then the future. So, right. So you can just write that down, brim, and then, okay, easy to remember what questions like belief. Okay, what do I believe about this? How do I know I have this problem, etc., right? Resources, where did I see it in the past? Who else had it, etc. When was the last time I had it? Similar
Okay.
problem. When did I feel like this last time, right? That's a resource. So we are repeating that again in the present moment. Internal representation, how am I doing it inside? What am I experiencing inside? What words do I hear? What pictures do I see, etc. Right? Um, Metaphoric, okay, if this problem was a person, who would it be? Um, let's see, what message does it have for me, etc., etc. Those metaphoric questions, right? If it had a shape, what's the shape, etc. So what kind of metaphor it is,
So,
you know?
so if you can't remember anything in the past, okay,
Hmm.
just start
Okay.
tapping on whatever it is presently.
Yeah. How do you know you have this problem? How do you know, like, yeah, you start
And then
tapping in the
maybe it'll
present.
come up. Then maybe it'll point you to a past event.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely start tapping on it and then like, then ask yourself, okay, when was it the last time I felt it? Or where did I see it? Where did I learn it? Um, yeah. What is this problem a metaphor of? And then also payoff, it's like what payoff do I have to keep this problem? Who's helping me or what benefit I'm getting from this?
Hmm.
So just keep tapping at the present one, and then as the resistance to that goes a little bit, then the path will come up.
It's good to know.
Keep at it. You got this, Stuart.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Number 15, or yeah. Also the number 14, like I wanted to add, like, um, most of us, like whoever I experience, like clients or myself, there is a big belief system that I'm not good enough. Like there's so many, like, or this stuff, I don't matter, I'm not good enough, I'm not, I don't know enough, I don't do enough for people, whatever. There's that not enoughness that keeps coming up over and over again. So if we have that belief system, it powerfully shapes our perception of the outer world, of what we see in the other people, and also our perception of ourselves and of the situation. Like we can just, I'm not good enough, so like, we can start becoming the victim and then we can blame other people, etc. So it changes the
So,
outcome, whatever. Yeah.
so how do I get rid of that belief system? I mean,
We tap
obviously it's
tap
something
on
a
it.
long time ago,
Yeah. It's like
probably done by my
where did
parents.
we, yeah, where did we learn it? Because if we believe in anything that's higher than us, if we have that belief that we are one with the world, not enough doesn't have any space in that kind of world.
So what if you can't remember the specific instance where your parents taught you that? Or what if you think you're not worthy?
Hmm.
What if
Yeah.
you
So
can't
how do you
remember
know you're not worthy? How do you know you're not worthy?
I know, but I mean, what if it starts showing up in your life? I mean, what if you can't remember where it happened in the past?
Hmm.
What if you
So
can't
just,
remember?
right. You don't see anything. You don't remember an event, but you feel it.
Right.
And that feeling itself is a memory. You may not remember
Okay.
the pictures, the words, the event, but you have a feeling. How do you know? Like, where's that feeling?
Okay.
And then you
So
just
then you
keep
tap on the
tapping,
feeling.
just keep tap on the feeling because the feeling is a memory in itself.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was
definitely.
important to know.
Definitely. Hey, Tammy and Rendell, welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Stuart. We are on page 130 or 131, whichever book you have. Point number 15 of the healing attitude. So who would like to read next?
I'll get
Hey,
on there.
Sherry. Yes, please.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because this one's very, whatever. You attract into your life the people and circumstances that are in alignment with what you hold in your subconscious, unconscious mind, limbic system. Well, that's a scary because people come in your life and you go, what the heck? And when you read that, you think, well, I must have a terrible unconscious, subconscious mind in here in my limbic system, all these things happening because these people are awful. So, no, they're wonderful, whatever. But that one, I don't know, it just kind of goes, oh, yeah. I mean, most of the people, in your life, well, in my life have been well, they've been different, all kinds from students to and now I guess being out on my own in the world now, it's been like, why? So I'm trying to get rid of whatever it is, crap with a crazy tapping. Why are these? I don't want you there. It's like I have a sign that says, please be crazy and come see me. I like those people. So I'm trying to, yeah, it's okay. Okay, I read it. I'm done. Next.
You.
But I have a question here. Isn't that about safety or security? That's at least what I can feel within myself, that I attract people that are kind of have an attitude towards myself that I already know. So it's familiar to me, and I feel kind of weirdly safe because I know these people from the past. They all have the same face and the same voice, and I can react the same way. So actually, this doesn't give me an insecurity, but it would give me an insecurity to act in a new way. And I realized that I can give you an example. Um, Someone gifted me something really generously, and I had a really bad feeling about that. And actually, I don't want to feel bad, but I want to feel good. And when I don't get things gifted or people are not so generous to me, I can feel the same as I already know. And so for me, this is a new situation, but it also brings me out of my comfort zone. And I always have that in mind when I attract the same in a different color. So I ask myself, where am I afraid to go one step further into the unknown, actually?
It's very interesting, Lisa. Definitely. So feeling safe with the state. And then some people also keep staying in a safe but unhealthy situation because it's safe, because it's familiar, right? And they're afraid to step into a good situation or getting out of the bad situation because it's unsafe, right? Because that's what we know, that's what's inside of us, right? We attract the people in our life that are in alignment with what we hold in the subconscious. So yeah, that's very interesting point. So also it's like why is it what bad would happen if you tried something that's not familiar? So some interesting questions to ask ourselves. Anybody else has any insights on this one? This is a big one.
I don't mean to keep talking, excuse me. Um,
Please do, Sherry.
no, because so I just had an aha moment because when I'm reading this, that's probably why, since mother was, I have discovered through sessions, etc., that my mother was more important than I thought, and that I kept attracting people just like her. Now, thank goodness my husband broke that mold. I'm pretty sure now, but still, it's just like sometimes you go back when you're tapping and you think, what in the heck was wrong with me? But now that I can kind of see that now that, I would always try to attract people like my mom. Um, and that's good because that's gone away now. Hallelujah. Okay. But thank you. I just had a aha moment.
Thank you,
That's,
Sherry.
that's interesting what Sherry said there, because you mentioned mother. I spent years and years on different therapies, especially now with this, using it to clean up my past. But I was in a 20-year marriage and I married my mum. Basically just married the same, not looks, not but temperament, the feeling that I had in that relationship. There were good times, but not as many as there could have been. But it was the same feeling as what I grew up with. The uncertainty, the not knowing if it was safe, not being able to express. And it's so blatantly obvious now compared to what it was at the time when it was all kicking off. I couldn't see it, but now I haven't done a lot of work. So, yeah, I know Robert says it's a gift, but it's a pretty tough gift to take sometimes. But it's easy to see the dots. So, yeah, it's hard to take, but we do attract into our lives those people, but it's different now. The relationship I'm in now is completely different. But if I hadn't done the work, I wouldn't be as far on. So yeah, but it's a hard one to swallow sometimes.
It is. And then also, um, if we have like whatever we see in other people, there's a part of us of that is inside of us, and we as we clean that up inside, um, like mom, her personality or whatever it was, her way of being, if we clean that up inside, we won't be either seeing those, we won't be picking it out in those people, in the other people, or we will, you know, kind of like step out of that relationship, or we won't have that in our life anymore. So the reason we are seeing it because that's reminding us of uh perhaps mom, since we're picking on mom today. So but as we clean that up, we won't be getting sucked into that kind of situation. We won't be feeling that way, perhaps the good enough, like we were talking about. So if mom made you feel not good enough, we see that in people or our partners, and then we continue that pattern of not feeling good enough. That's familiar, right? As we clean that up, we clean up mom, we clean up our beliefs about ourselves, we won't be feeling that with the same partner. And it would feel like that partner changed, but they didn't, we did. Mom cleaned up inside of us. And, we can just kind of see for the first time, perhaps, who our partner is more of instead of just the same old mom, you know? And that's so possible. That's like so very there's a big possibility of that happening as well. So our partner changes perceptually. Yeah.
So I have a question. Will this be available, like recorded?
Yeah.
Okay, because this has been like every single one's opinions I could like relate and connect with, and I like want to listen to everybody's stuff again. It's
I
like
know.
all of the thoughts that I had this weekend, everybody had them too, and they're like saying it. It's like great.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put it up on the level 1 group. Yeah. Hey, Tammy.
I did. So, oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt someone? Tammy, I guess you wanted to say something. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. Stuart, it's been so long. Um, so it's interesting because it's easy to feel guilty or shame that we created this in our life, and that's just not the right or not going to change. It's not going to bring us the benefits that we want and the results. So something that I found, and I'm not sure if this is talked about in level 1 or not, but like when we notice that in them, like, oh, they're just like mom. Robert does this all the time. He's like, you're just like mom. So we can always do that. I'm just like mom, or, I attracted this, or they're crazy. So I'm crazy. Let it go. Let it go. It's like all these notices, and it can feel um not true, I guess. You ever think like that's not true? I'm not like that. So I have kind of a good story. My husband, when I first learned this, I was just tapping through everything that I said about him. This was my ex-husband. I was like, he's a jerk. I'm a jerk. Let it go. Let it go. He's this, he's that. And then I got to lay down, lay down. Good girl. And I got to he's a cheater. And I was like, that's not true. I'm not saying that. But then luckily my subconscious said, you're cheating yourself out of peace. And I was like, oh, I am. So sometimes, if you're feeling that resistance to have it be true in your life when you see someone else and you're like, that's not part of me, or, there's a judgment or something that feels just like there's no way I'm that. And I can't see that. I mean, you're seeing it in them. So like you understand the concept of it, but you're like, it's not true. What was that? Oh, I thought you said something. So then
Yeah.
I was able to say, oh yeah, I am a cheater. Let it go, let it go. Because sometimes it's in that thing we see about them that we just won't admit is in us, where there's a whole level of freedom when we let that go. Is that helpful?
Definitely. I think there's a forgiveness in that, and so we can get past that situation because we are doing it to ourselves. Like you said, like, yeah, I cheated myself of peace.
And if we want to quit having that person in our life, the only thing we can do is letting go of seeing that in other people, I guess. So,
Your Tammy. Hey, Lisa, you were saying something?
I would like to add something to the mother topic, and I realized why it was for me at least, or still is, to really tap things out and not be like my mother, because your mother is actually the first connection you have. And this form of connection, however bad it feels, it's a connection. And it's connected to survival, actually. And you're not as stupid to break that connection with outer representation, because it's not safe. At least that's what your unconscious mind is getting or trying to tell us. And so maybe it's really a good point to, when we work on mother topics and break that connection, that we first rebuild the connection towards ourselves, and really so that we are not in free fall. Because when we break a connection, we need to have another one. And so that we don't replicate that connection who felt bad, and we try to take another connection that feels totally the same because we want to stay connected. I really worked on trying to build up a connection to myself, and this is really hard, or it is still hard, because you have to rebuild everything from scratch. What is a good connection? Some of us don't have this experience. And so I try to really go in tiny steps to rebuild that connection towards myself. And then I can release the connection to my mother or whoever, to whomever I have a representational connection with.
Yeah. So like from my experience and how we want to work with this is, yes, we had a bad connection with mom. And as you're saying, then we're looking for that same bad connection, because if we cut the connection with mom, we're looking for that same bad connection with somebody else. So what we are doing with the eutaptics is we're not just cutting off the connection with mom, but we're actually building and seeing and changing mom to somebody we would have rather have happen. And then, as you said, but we don't know what that good connection is because we haven't had experience of it, correct? And so it's about just retraining ourselves, what would it be like just make it up. What would be the best possible connection with mom, And a connection with mom is nourishment, love, care, unconditional love. And yes, maybe some of us don't have that, right? And so it's like find examples, look around us, where we can find a better example of it, you know, perhaps other caregivers or, grandmas or aunts or wherever, like we find that we kind of take that, really feel that, experience that and send it to mom. Because that connection with mom, we can never like break it off because, it's our first connection. And if we break it off, we're like hanging loose, we don't know where we are in the world. So yeah, we need to rebuild that connection with mom, certainly. Sasha, did you have something to add to that?
It was interesting because I never came across, at least early dating, came across a dynamic of being attracted to somebody who reminded me of my parents. Especially like my dad, because I didn't really grow up with him. I had a positive relationship, but we never just the dynamics of it. We weren't very close in that sense. But I did respect him. Um, and um, and so the people that I dated, I can't necessarily say that they reminded me of my mother, but my mom passed away 8 years ago, and my father passed away like 15 years ago. And I just got my ass handed to me in love, falling in love with somebody who literally, astrologically speaking, had every single planet my mom did. Human design was the same profile. It was like a mini me version of my mother. How badly I felt because this individual triggered this in me, that's like therapy for years. But I mean, it's interesting because it's like the sense of safety. I was trying to go back to what exactly was it that made me feel the sense of home when I first talked to this person. I'm bisexual, so this was a woman. And it was funny because the first memory that I had, positive memory of my mother, was us in the living room, in the floor, her hugging me. I was like this little kid, and it was like this hug, and I felt so safe, right? Like that was our time together because she worked a lot. I was busy. It was just like that one day, and it was just this hug, and I can't remember like the TV and stuff like that. But the one thing that I remember doing with this girl the first time that we met was a hug. And it was interesting because it took me back to that moment. It was like this instant connection to back to that moment that I felt safe with my mother. And then add all of the other, influences and energies. It was a bomb waiting to happen. But it was very interesting that I recently came up because I'm like, I don't necessarily have those strong feelings for people. I mean, I'm usually very chill, but this was like boom, like really quick. And it was only up until recently that I was able to connect it to like my mother and stuff like that. But it was definitely new territory when it came to dealing with someone that reminded me so much of my mother. And then I dated a guy and he reminded me of my dad, and I was like, what the hell's going on?
They were coming as an opportunity to heal up any mom and dad issues, right? Like
Clearly.
they're taking it as an opportunity. Hey, Tammy, always
Hello.
have
So,
you always have something amazing to say.
oh, thanks. Well, it's interesting every time somebody's talking, I'm like, oh, insight, insight. So I think Lisa was saying like it's really hard to make that connection with your mom if you didn't have that experience. And I know, like Tristy, that's right on. Is there somebody else in your life, an aunt? And I know that my grandmother, and then there was this lady at our church who she just thought I walked on the moon. She just loved me in such a different way than I could imagine my mom loving me. But I think a really good thing to make it easier is what is your belief of how you need to be treated so that you know your mom believes you're good. Your mom believes you're innocent. Like it's your interpretation of how your mom would treat you if she just thought you walked on the moon or were the stars in the sky, or then how would she treat you? And it's your interpretation of that you can give the little you. Does that make it easier? Especially Lisa, since you were talking about this, does that make it easier to kind of figure out like what is the connection you needed?
Yes, surely. But um, there is where my problem lies actually with rewriting memories, especially when it comes to people who are still interacting at the moment. I don't have any problems with people who are not in my life anymore to rewrite memories because I know I will never see them again. But I
Yeah.
have kind of a resistance to rewrite memory with my parents actually because there is this kind of protection, this feeling of being protected when I have them in a bad memory. So I never let it
Mm,
close again to me, and they will never be able to hurt me again because there were so many times where they treated me just the way they knew and how it was their best way they could treat me. But I don't want to be cheated. I guess this cheating, I felt cheated because they were not the same. They were like this and like this. And when I rewrite the bad memories I have about them, then they are only like this, but they can all the time go like this. And this is kind of a self-protection, and I don't trust myself yet that I rely on my resources to see through them. And maybe this is kind of a toxic hope that they will ever change. And
mm,
I don't want this fear of being disappointed again. I don't know if this
mm,
makes sense, but there is my resistance. How much can I rewrite the memory, or how much do I allow myself to visualize them as a loving parent, although I expected something else from them. I don't want to say they are bad, but I expected as a child and as a grown up to that they behave differently. Um, I don't know. I'm a bit in a it's like hot and cold there. I know how to rewrite the memory. I know how to change characters, but I don't do it with them because I'm just afraid that they will break through my walls again.
Hey,
mm.
can I just quickly add something? One thing that made it a lot easier for me, Lisa, when I was working with my parents, they're both passed away now, but even when they were alive, was it's a big jump. This I appreciate this without doing the work, but it's a window. It's like a window. When I saw the way they treated me, it's like me pulling the blinds apart, and it was a window right into the way that they were treated. I believe. you
Yes.
know, and that gave me compassion. Now I can look back at my parents. Okay, they're not here to trigger me. That is part of it, but it makes me realize now, they treated me exactly the way they were treated, most likely. And so,
Totally.
and then that weakened the the feeling that I had inside me, and it made me look at them with compassion. And it doesn't let them off the hook, but it's the same time it's me, as Robert says, I'm keeping this alive. But it definitely did make things an awful lot easier, especially coming to rewrite stage. All right, okay. So instead of looking at my mum as the way she was or my dad the way he was, I look at them as young boy, young girl. They were like me at one stage. So, and that helped. That helped me somewhat. So maybe that might help you. I don't know. But it's good that we at least have these tools to make the difference.
Yeah, thank you, Nigel. That helps.
And also just know that you're not changing mom and dad. We're changing how we represent them and how we see them inside of us, treating us. That's the way we're going to treat ourselves and our kids. And so we are changing how we represent our representation of them, not them themselves. So I've been working on my mom stuff for years, right? And every time I talk to them, that's the way they are. So, but every time I work on myself, I change myself. I am able to see them in a better life. I'm not getting triggered all the time, right? So that I'm like down for a whole week. And then next time I call them, it's like, this is how I was 20 years ago, right? But now every time I call them, I'm able to tell them actually I love them for the first time in my life, first time in my life, right? I can tell them even though it doesn't make any sense to them. They're like, what? What did you just say? Because that's not part of their vocabulary, right? For them, the part of their vocabulary is doing everything for me, but never really telling me or holding me or hugging me or telling me that they love me, right? That's not how they love, that's not their definition of love. And maybe their definition of love might have been abused because that's what they were treated with. You never know, right? But it's like how I'm holding them within myself is how I want to treat myself. I want to, be told that I'm loved, or I want to tell myself that I'm loved. So as I change them, I'm able to say to them that I love you in my way. Yeah, definitely.
And I also heard Lisa say, so they never hurt me again, but it's exactly what Shristi's saying is like if we hold them in our mind as hurting us, we're stuck in that old belief system of then, um, I have this different view of my mom just because I grew up with her and everyone else loves my mom. And I'm like, she would drive me crazy. I'm like, I can't be around her. She's just making, and I did change enough resources now that I don't feel that way around her. And it's amazing that I can be there and not, and just be like, oh, she's going to work through this. Like, used to be like, oh no, here she goes. And I got to fix her emotional state, which is what I felt like I did as a child, right? Like she's gonna be emotional and it's my fault and I need to fix it. And oh no, here we go. Um, but I don't know what memory I even changed, but I visited with her and I saw her getting in that state and I was like, wow, she's gonna figure this out. And I stepped back and I quit getting emotionally involved and it was phenomenal. Like she came through it so much quicker than when I I was like, oh yeah, this is terrible and that's terrible and oh yeah. And then she just was like, well, I'm glad that you're here and we're just gonna move on or whatever. I was like, wow, what just happened? So, but when we think they'll never hurt us, we do think that we're protecting ourselves, but any of those things that we're holding, they're still gonna do what they do, but they're not gonna do it 24/7 like we do it to ourselves. Yeah.
Right. And then
Yeah,
we show
definitely.
up. Yeah. And then we show up towards them in a different place, like if I show up towards my mom closed up because she's going to hurt me and I don't want to be emotionally, open myself up to her because as soon as I emotionally open myself, she's going to hurt me. So I show up like this. I'm just talking. There's no emotional connection. Yes, I'm keeping myself safe, but then who's emotionally hurting me is myself, right? But as soon as I clean that up, I'm not 2 anymore. I'm not 8 anymore. I'm not 12 anymore. I'm not 18 anymore, whatever. You know, how I feel about myself, it's in my power, and how what I allow inside me is in my power, right? And because, it's like, what's mom gonna do to hurt me, right? Anything she says, if it hurts me, it's me doing to me, right? How I take it, how I translate it. So that's my own translation anymore. She can't hurt me anymore. And, if I feel like she's hurting me, then like she's actually you know, hurting herself. She is hurting inside, perhaps. And so she's treating me. So I can have compassion. So I can step into her shoes and I can see that she is hurting within herself. So I can forgive her. I can change that representation of mom inside of me. So
This is so good. And sometimes we have to do it in the moment. Like you were saying, it's not a person from the past. Like sometimes they're talking and you need to imagine it like it's Mickey Mouse. You do. You just have to be conscious of it and just be like, and you're thinking about something that's keeping your peace. We don't have to, you know, be a partner of something neurotic, psychotic, or hurtful. And this is a practice, right? And it's an experiment. So you change some memories and you experiment with it. And then you're like, yeah, that felt different. And this felt worse. And that felt better. Okay, now we know which direction to go. And when I'm with them, I'm going to use the tools right in front of me. Look at that red color. Oh, look at that bird. Oh, look at inside my head. I'm maintaining my emotional state, even though they're kind of like whatever they do. And we're not 2, we're not 8, but they're also not 20 and they're not 25. And they're like, they have changed and we're seeing them as that same person a lot of times. And that's our perception of it. But so many good things there. I love that, Shruti. Um,
true. Yeah. That's
we
so
can
true
use the
because
tools in
yeah.
the moment. It's not just tapping. It's not just like, I'm going to tap with my eyes while she's talking. Like, really divert your attention to something else. Whatever they said, you can pick up in a couple, or even if you have to say, can you say that again? They're probably going to say it kinder, nicer. They're going to rethink it while you're off in your own world being like, oh, the breeze feels so good on my face. I can smell a dirty sock in the room. I don't know what, you're just going to be focusing yourself somewhere else, somewhere else, somewhere else. And because when things happen right in front of us, that's the present moment. We can still be present. We don't have to go back to those old emotions and feelings that hurt so much more. Compound it, right?
It compounds. And yeah, as you tell me, thank you for saying that. Like, because mom is not 20 or 25 anymore, but I'm seeing her still from that same lens, and she has grown, and I can have faith that she has grown. Because if we can't have that faith in people, then it's like, might as well be just like leave and get out of here, right? There was another something that was what I was thinking about. Yeah, and then it takes practice, because in the beginning we are just so triggered and triggered, but as we keep working with the mom memories and we keep changing her over time, she will change enough that you'll be able to just not be in that trance of mom's trying to hurt me, but be more in the present moment, like Tammy was saying. It's like, just be in the body, just be in the present. Okay, what else is going on? I don't have to get sucked in. It's like we become more aware instead of getting in the trance of mom. So the more we practice, the more conscious it becomes. And, our unconscious mind has like so many resources, right? But the conscious mind can only hold 5 to 7 bits of information. So the more we practice mom being this kind of person, that how we needed to be treated, and like Tammy was saying, and how we wanted her to be, or what's good for us, how we would have liked to be treated. So just changing mom's memory, right? How she is. Like for me, I changed my mom to like she's empowered and she is emotionally intelligent and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, among other things. And the more I be in that space, the more I can be in that space of empowerment and and me being emotionally intelligent and then seeing mom as that. And that just breaks that trance. I don't have to get sucked into it. So it's like making it conscious instead of like, conscious. And then because that's going to come from the unconscious mind too. It kind of plays both ways. The unconscious mind memories are changed, and then consciously we can be in that space of how we want mom to be. And as a result, how we want ourselves to be. So would that help a little bit? I hope. Keep working on it because she can't hurt us anymore. Hey, Tammy.
Oh, Sherry, I don't know if you, well, I'll just say this quick. One of the things we can use is in the happy journal is the gratefuls. And that's if we only can keep 5 to 7 things in our conscious mind and we're thinking, that color's red. I'm grateful that my feet are warm. And we're focused, we're using gratefuls, that I find that really helpful.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you. I didn't mean to, bring up all this, but it's true because I wish, I can't go back and change things that I had had this when my mom was alive, because she just died a year ago. And of course I think of all those times and I've thanked the good Lord. I have finally worked through the majority of all those things. And, now she's this sweet person. She got sweet when she got dementia. And my sisters and I decided we liked that mother better because she wasn't mean. But so I try to remember her not that way, but I've changed her. And I think that helps a lot when you have a way to kind of re-envision them and really believe how they, are at that time. So that's been good. So that's all I was going to say. Not much.
For
Sorry.
Sherry. Oh, it's perfect. Thank you. Definitely. Yeah, it's making peace with them, Definitely. Because it's a place of coming to of being having an okayness for ourselves. It's like if I'm okay, I'm okay. There's nothing that can hurt me, only I, if I choose to. Yeah. So if any other questions on that one, we can go to the next point, which is number 16. Who would like to read that? Stuart?
Yep. You don't necessarily believe what you see, but rather you see what you already believe. Belief creates your experience. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. There's a book about that. As a man thinketh, so is he.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. Anything you would like to share on that, Stuart?
Um, I just want to say that it's very true. Whatever you believe about disease, or you believe about whether people will love you, or you believe that people will hate you, or you believe that you'll be nervous on stage, whatever you believe is true for you. So, and whatever you believe people will think of you is also true for you. So if you think people will always like you, then that's true for you. If you think people will never like you, that's also true for you. So anything at all is possible to be true for you, and that is the law of attraction, is that your thoughts match the things that you want. So if you find things coming into your life that you don't want, then look at your beliefs. Look at what's happened to you and find out why it's not happening to you what you want. Find out why you can't attract it. I mean, there are people, including me, that don't make the desired amount of money. Okay, I'd like to make. Well, why? What are my beliefs about it? So I'm going to work on that. What are my beliefs about it? Because once I change the beliefs, okay, then the universe will react to those beliefs. And it's that way about everything. I mean, it's not just that way about some things, it's that way about everything.
All right. Thank you. And then also, not just beliefs, what are my payoffs for not making the money? There could be a lot of payoffs.
That's
So,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
So whatever
Thank you for bringing that up.
yeah. Sometimes we don't pay attention to the payoffs because we don't want to see those, you know?
Yes.
Like, yeah, I think payoffs is one of the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you
Anyone
do then?
else would
You
like?
tap away the payoff? You
Well,
tap away
where is
the
it
payoff?
coming from? Is that really useful to me? Yeah, you tap it. Where did I pick it up from? Where did I learn to have that payoff? The
Okay.
benefits, because those benefits are keeping us from what we desire, what we want in our life, what's good for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Or even like having a healthy relationship is a good thing to have, but there are payoffs for not, for holding on to a bad relationship because it gives us something. There are payoffs. So it's like, is that really useful to me anymore? And so it's like changing that belief system. Yeah. Being
Thank
conscious
you.
of that. Yeah. Definitely. You're welcome. Anyone else would like to share anything?
I know that my book's a little different. Did it say, or is there something about what you see, Stuart, when you read that?
So you will believe it before you see it.
Okay, yeah.
That's one of Abraham Hicks' quotes.
Oh,
And
sure.
most people believe that they will see it, as evidence that they believe it.
Right.
But it's not that way at all. It's the reverse. You will believe it before you see it. So if there's something in your life that you want, you will believe it before you see it. That's the law of
Yeah.
attraction.
So then so if we're seeing it, we know that there's a belief system.
It's attracting it.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Also, maybe to continue on the mom situations, like if you believe it, we will see it that way. See the people that way if you believe a certain thing about them. Yeah.
And that's really important. I know when I work with clients, one of the first things that I notice is like I really ask them, well, what do you think about them? Because what I'm thinking about them or what you're thinking about your parents or your mom or whatever, that thought is it's creating an emotion, just the thought. So if you're thinking she's mean or she's hateful or she's like I suppose with my mom, I was thinking she's over emotional or she's uh over involved, so stuff like that, I guess, then that's something for me to tap on. Because if I'm judging her that way, then I mean that kind of goes back to the first thing I was talking about. But those judgments they're like a stronghold or a block in us, blocking us from seeing, a better truth.
Sure. All
There's a
right.
quote on that. There's a block in me that's blocking me from seeing from love or from seeing love or something like that. I think it's in A Course in Miracles. And the empowering thing is we're the only one that can do something about that.
Yeah. The block is in us. That's blocking us from what we want. Yeah.
And we want that to feel empowering instead of like, oh, it's my fault and then shame on me. And it's, it's just like, wow, now I can open what did Nigel say? Like, open the window to see, to
Right. Yeah.
see
Because
there's a
if the
reason for
block is in
everything.
us, yes, we are the
Mhm.
only one who can do something about it. Yeah. All right. Number 17. Who would like to read that? Anyone?
Well, how about Tammy? Come on, step up.
Did you
Susan.
say me? I can try if this does it say we develop blind spots?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
have an
You
old
should.
book. Okay.
Okay.
We develop blind spots if we believe that there are no other ways to do things. Our belief acts as a screen or filter. The nice thing about beliefs is that they are changeable. And that's everything we were just talking about. We have this blind spot towards that person or towards, I mean, you guys probably know that I was scheduled for a total knee replacement in 2017. I didn't see another way. And I had a tapping session, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you mean there's this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing? And 2 weeks later, I was off crutches, So, and I canceled my total knee replacement. But all of those blind spots just, and you probably see this in people that you're tapping along with, right? You're like, this is so obvious. It's not that way. That's all you can see. So that's a great point. And it just comes from their belief system. The belief system is the kind of the foundation that's going to tell you this is only the only thing that you can see or the only way that it can be.
Yeah,
So that's a good
certainly.
one.
Yeah. So Tammy, if I may ask, like, what was your thought process behind, like, once you saw, okay, you mean this is inside of me and this thing and that thing. So what was your thought process about of letting it go besides like just working on the memories? Because there's the mindset change.
You mean when my knee was okay? Oh, sure. Well, so like for things that showed up is I had a friend reach out to me and tell me about the melt method. And I'm like, I never heard of that. So that's like moving your fascia in front of him. So I moved it on both sides of my knee. And then I would be like, well, that feels better. And I found out about MMS, which is good for arthritis, and some of these things are controversial. So I'm not a doctor, don't take my word. I found out about DMSO. I found out about cabbage leaves, which help with inflammation. So I was sleeping with a cabbage leaf on, but every time before I would stand up, I would be like, this is gonna hurt. And I would tap and I would say, let that go because it was the pre-planning that it was going to hurt that was caused like it was causing a lot more pain. And I knew there was an emotional component because during the tapping session I'm like, Pierre, it doesn't hurt right now. Like I didn't think there could be any emotional piece because I got all the proof with the x-rays and the MRI and 3 doctors and I have all the proof. But what else showed up? Oh, it was probably just Amazon showed me this book called Pain Free, and it's all about these little teeny movements that you do to realign your hips so your knees it feels better and um just things like that. It was like seemed out of the blue, but I know that it was just that I didn't believe that that was the only way anymore. Or I had just a teeny part of my mind open to the possibility that there was another way. So, is that what you were asking about the this and that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
just
So I think we look at tapping as the foundation of adjusting our belief system so that the universe or God or however you believe, um, the magnetic pull, the vibration, however you believe that works in your life, can offer you a solution that you can see. And that's what that's saying. It's like you can't see it until that screen and filter changes because you can believe it now. You can believe it's true.
totally. Yeah. And sometimes also like a block in letting it go could be losing the people in our life, losing love, losing this and that, but we keep ourselves in a stuck place. So there also takes, I think there's also a component of just perhaps courage, or just stepping out of that whirlpool, that mud that we, like a sinkhole, we keep ourselves burying deeper and deeper. And it's like, okay, I don't have to do that anymore. I can love them as unconditionally. It doesn't have to be a condition to love. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big I know I have had resistance to letting go, like what does it even mean? Like not knowing what does it mean. But I think it's just about like big courage, and I'm free and I'm okay no matter what in my life.
Hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, I don't know if that was off topic or not, but yeah.
That's good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This was really wonderful. I know, Susan, you raised your hand to read, but next time we'll have you. So next time we'll start for number 18 and continue with these, because there are like a lot of deep insights in these healing attitudes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you. Bye. Have a good
Thank
week.
you. Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Randall. Okay, bye.